Hey, 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 hey. Do 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 do. Hola, as promised, I'm back because someone requested to know which order they should take classes with the professor, or like, because they already have a bunch of classes and they wanted to know like which order to go in. So we're gonna break it down. Okay. Let me see here. 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 Do 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 do. Okay, I had to make sure I wasn't on only me. I wasn't on private on Facebook. I'm on friends. I'm gonna put it on public. I'm not gonna worry about sharing it out over there. I'm just gonna get into. But hey, when you come in, you come in, because I'll probably end up repeating the same information a couple of times. But this time I promise I'm not gonna be on here long. But it was requested that I go over the classes that we provide and what would be a good way to like like what order to kind of do them in. And yeah, so that's what we're going to go over. Hello, everybody. I am Shakia, the professor of HS Inc. 365. We are the home of the Honestly Speaking brand of products. We carry the best sublimation ink and paper that allows you to sublimate at 365 degrees as fast as 30 seconds. No cover paper required. So whether you use butcher paper, parchment paper, additional, like use copy paper, butcher paper, parchment paper, just can't use wax. For the top, like if you're just pressing something, it does not bleed through, so it won't get onto your press and then transfer to the next garment or the next item that you are pressing, because it absolutely does not bleed through the back, unlike some of the other ones where you have to protect your platen by covering that up. You also are able to get great vibrant colors. 2 years later, someone pointed that out, that this is technically Monday. This shirt, well, actually, I made it before then. So it's probably about 2 years old right about now. And the colors are still there. And this was printed using plain paper, bright white, Adobe RGB Gamma 1.8, using color charts, of course. And it's still very much so vibrant 2 years later. And of course, this was done with our sublimation paper and our ink. So check that out on shop.hsink365.com. You can also check out our classes over there, which we're going. This video is specifically for that right now because it is HS Ink Month, because our Inkiversary is on Monday. All classes are buy one, get one 50% off. And I'm standing up right now because I was sitting down way too long. So yeah, right now I'm going to stand up. Let's see. Do you need to put butcher paper inside the shirt? I will say it depends on the fabric. Now, like let's say if I were to do a Dollar Tree pillowcase, that is really, really thin. And it's like that really silky, silky shine. It's like the satin one. I normally have to put something in between there to keep it from going to the other side. But I've actually never done any of the shirts that I use. I use Team 365. I use Sports Tech. Even when I did the cricket shirts, I've done jersey before. But yeah, any of those type shirts, I've never had to put a sheet of paper on the inside to keep it from bleeding through whenever I was using Honestly Speaking paper, whether it's a onesie, a shirt, or anything like that. So if you watch any of my videos when I'm doing shirts, I do not put anything on the inside of the shirt. So our paper definitely saves you time, money, and resources. So definitely check it out, okay? Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings. How art thou? You are very welcome. Yeah, so that's who we are. So like I said, we're going to go over, actually I meant to turn on my heat press because before I leave here, not right now, but like before I leave here, I am going to do a quick video because I want to put a design on a shirt for Monday. on a pink shirt. So I'm going to turn that on. But like I said, we are going to discuss order of classes. If you don't know who I am, about 8-9 years ago, I started teaching and just kind of showing. So I'm not even going to say teaching. I started showing the possibilities and the scope of Silhouette Studio. I am someone that has a background in graphic designing. I started when I was in the 11th grade at Barbara Goldman Senior High School. Hey, I just realized I was at Barbara Goldman and Zion Imani just started at Barbara Hawkins. That's kind of cool. I literally just realized that because I almost said Barbara Hawkins. I just realized I just did something really bad there. Oops, my bad. But anywho, I went to Barbara Goldman Senior High in my 11th grade year due to me not wanting to cut up a pig. I ended up in graphic design. And there they taught us Photoshop, Illustrator, different graphic design softwares. I learned screen printing. I learned how to use a button machine. I learned how to develop photos in a dark room. What else did we do in graphics? Man, we did like that graphics room was full of stuff. And that's where I kind of started at. And once I left high school and I went to the military, I was always still doing graphics. But during that time, I was using Corel Draw. And I've just been using those softwares for a really, really long time. Once I got out of the military and I had my first, I'm trying to think, did I have a Cricut when I was, no, I don't think I had a Cricut back then. I'm not sure at what point when I got a Cricut machine, but back then you had to use the cartridges and like the little booklets and keep changing out your, like your keypad. Cause I had the Expressions one. But then you could use like Surecuts a lot, Make the Cut. And then there was this whole thing with ProvoCraft. That's when Cricut wasn't Cricut Incorporated. They were ProvoCraft, and they sued Surecuts a lot, Make the Cuts, like all these third party. And then they did this firmware update. When you did the firmware update, you could no longer use those softwares to just design freely and then cut to your machine. So from there, I end up on a hunt to find a system that would allow me to freely create because I enjoyed creating and being able to cut on. At that time, I was not really looking to get like the industrial or the commercialized cutting machines. Came across a infomercial for Silhouette. I was intrigued by it, ended up ordering one, got the software, and quickly realized, oh, wow, I can do a lot of the same things that I was doing in Illustrator and Corel Draw. Because even with Surecuts a lot and Make the Cut, there were things that I just could not do. So I got that. And when I got my Cameo, because again, I'm used to using Illustrator, I got the Connect. So there is like an application where if you prefer to design in Illustrator, you can actually cut right to your Cameo machine with what's called Silhouette Connect. And it connected Illustrator, and the options will come up for me to send it to the cutter. Yes, sir? I don't know what dinosaur. You got to tell grandma. Well, you got to ask grandma house to put it on there. So I got that, but I realized I didn't even need it. I would do things in Illustrator to kind of, when I was getting started, I wanted to like use the machine. And I was like, okay, well, let me see. Because I noticed like the tools and stuff. And I'm like, wait, it's a lot of the same stuff here. I had to kind of understand the verbiage because like Illustrator has minus front, minus back, where they just kind of have subtract or subtract all, unite, weld, still the same thing. There was like, I think what really made me realize that Silhouette Studio was kind of like Illustrator was seeing the word compound path in that program, because that is a vector-based program, like terminology, that's verbiage in there. You don't have like compound paths in Photoshop and programs like that. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, wait, let me go into this and see. And then the trace one, I'm used to image trace. The first time I tried trace and detach, and I'm like, oh baby, Illustrator could never. It's because you can do like high fidelity traces, and you can do different traces by colors, but if you wanted to like cut something out, like remove the outline but keep it the same way, you would end up having to duplicate, do a trace, and then you're going to expand that, and then you would crop that or like subtract that out. So it was a lot of steps. And when I saw that in Silhouette Studio, you could do trace and detach, and it basically did all of that with one click of a button, that is the moment where I was like, you know what? Let me really see what this program is hitting on. And from there, it's just been like amazing. So although you can't, it was made and it was designed to use with the Cameo machines, the portrait machines, and then they've added things like Curio. Okay. You want to watch Dinosaur? Which dinosaur? Oh my gosh. Why is it that it's like you sense when I'm on live? You didn't bug me the whole time. The minute I come back on live, you want to come all up in here, player? You want to watch what? The ants? Okay, there you go. Now go out there and watch the ants. You can't watch it in here. It's going to be too much noise. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Your kids do that too? It's like, dude, like you weren't bugging me the whole time. And now you want to come in here, like you sensed that I was on live. Like what kind of mess? Anywho, so when I saw that, I was like, well, let's see what this can really do. So although it can be used for the portrait and the Cameo machines, which now they've had 4 different ones, I quickly learned that just simply designing, I could do pretty much the same thing. Now, some things are a little bit easier in Illustrator because of tools and functions. Like their warp tool, like Silhouette just got warp. A few, like they haven't had it the entire time. I don't know how many years ago, but they haven't had that like the entire time. They just added the different shapes for lines. Whereas in Illustrator, I can create that. At one point, I even had a drawing tablet. And when you're drawing, like if you put light pressure, it's a thin line. And then as you put more pressure, it gets thicker. So I used to design with drawing tablets and things like that, creating the widths, doing loops and stuff. Like it's a look. Of course, it is a commercial-based program for, it's a professional program. So it has more options, more features to streamline your process and allow you to do things, quicker, more efficiently, especially when you know how to use it. Because there are tools, even Illustrator, where as a beginner, you would learn something one way, and then you'll start to learn the tool where it's like, okay, well, if you do this, it actually, it kind of does it like the whole process for you. And over time, they've improved it, and like common things that people would do that would take like 2 or 3 steps, they eventually made it to where it's an option where it's like 1 step. So that program is constantly evolving, just like Photoshop is. But as far as a lot of the basic things that you can do, and even some of the advanced things, you can still do it. It's just going to take you a little bit longer because it's not as intuitive, but you can do a lot in the software. And I quickly realized that. So I started teaching it. I was getting to know it from I just want to cut onto these machines, which is why when I first got my Cameo, I did a lot of purchases. I immediately got a subscription to the design store because I wanted to get an understanding of like what they thought, like, because to me, what was in the design store was what was made like to ideally cut on these machines. So if I was going to use it as a cut machine, I went there and I kind of started to dissect things and, and work backwards. I had done a lot of designs, but my background wasn't necessarily in like full on vectorized vector things for making like boxes. Back then, I would just measure them and use my scoreboard to make the score lines, to fold it and stuff like that. Like I was doing everything manually. I never used the cutting, I never used a cutting machine for stuff like that unless it was a file that was already made for Cricut and it was on the cartridge. So I started to break those down. I used to design a lot of like invitations. My background and what I got into this for was event planning and event decorating. So I was doing things like invitations, or I would do like labels and stickers, tent, table settings, tent cards, somewhat like flyers. I don't really do like the club type flyers, but I would create professional flyers. I was creating posters. So it was more graphic type things, and bringing in JPEGs and adding text to it. So I wasn't really familiar with like creating a 3D file for a box or for a number or a letter or a plane. I remember the first time I got a file and I made a 3D, like literally working Ferris wheel with the cuts from SVG cuts. So that was new to me. And I was buying a lot of these cut files and SVG files. And then I started to apply what I would normally do for like logos. So I was always doing like logos and different things with text, which is vectorized. But now I incorporated shapes. I incorporated like making custom shapes or really using my pencil. For me, the pencil was more so like a Photoshop thing for me to manually remove the background. That's how I was taught to remove backgrounds. Now you have the magic wand and quick trace and all of that. But back in the day, we used to take that pencil and change the angles and go around it. So like we would take a picture of a bird, like we would take a picture of a burger, go around it. I mean, even like all like the sesame seeds sometimes, or you would use a brush to recreate the sesame seeds, but it was all manual. And then when I saw that I can do this in Silhouette, I'm like, man, people are really limiting this software to just what it can cut. And it's so much more than that. So I started just kind of showing videos of me making stuff and then cutting it, large cutouts. Because again, I was an event planner. This made it easy for me. I didn't have to use an X-Acto knife to cut out every single image that I wanted to use for an event. I was able to use this amazing tool that I found, which was trace and detach, remove the background, or remove like the transparent background from these, set it up, cut it out. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have to use my hands. Because by that time, it would hurt. Like, because I would use, I'm a whiz at scissors. I'm a whiz at X-Acto knives, but doing all that stuff by hand, it took a toll. And it also limited how many I can do in a day, a week, like for events, how many events I can do at one time. Once I got that machine, I got my Cricut, because I'm like, well, at least that can take care of like the little custom boxes that I was putting treats in. And then when I got the Silhouette, my first Silhouette, oh man, it just changed the game for me. So I started doing videos for more so the Cameo stuff. And I've slowly transitioned to where the real beauty of this whole system is the software, and showing that you can design, like you can really design a whole lot of things. Whether it takes you a little bit longer than some of the commercialized or professional ones, but you can do a lot. And so I've been doing that for 8 to 9 years now. And I was doing it where I was just teaching it for free on YouTube. I had other jobs and stuff like that, so it wasn't my bread and butter. And then over the past couple of years, especially with the pandemic, it has become our company. Like our company is based on teaching, and we've monetized my skills in Silhouette Studio and the ability to teach it, not just as a craft cutting software, but as an actual graphic designing software. For the longest, I was told that I was intimidating people because people just see it as a craft machine. They see this, we throw this word around about, well, I'm going to learn how to craft, or the craft business. So when I'm using terminology like graphics and I'm saying that you can be a graphic designer, it was intimidating to people because they didn't see that. Like we see you hear the word graphic designer and just think like these professional graphic designers that are making all the, they're designing for movies or TV shows with like animation, or you're thinking about big billboards. But simply doing this, knowing how to space it, how to add colors, how to shift to make it like 3D, this is still graphic designing. Even the simplest things of just arranging text is graphic designing. And I know I kind of intimidate some people, so I kind of scaled back a little bit, kind of started using more of the terminology of like crafting and things like that, and simplifying it. But at the end of the day, my goal is for you guys to realize that you can design. You can be a graphic designer on the level that you are on. Not to say that you have to be this big time, graphic designer, but even in creating something simple for yourself as your name, something for your business, Just being able to know how to size things properly is important if you are someone that wants to create customized products and items, and you want to provide print services. It's important to understand sizing. So you got to know how to work those design softwares. So I started teaching it because people wanted more hands-on. Videos were great, but a lot of times you see everything like so perfect in these videos because they record them. If they mess up, they stop or they edit it down, and you're just seeing it the perfect way. And I was getting so many questions from people saying, well, I promise you, I followed this video to the T. Something is wrong. And sometimes it's something as small as when you trace something, there was like a little piece that you did not see. And when you go to subtract or go to do certain tool, like certain functions, it's like everything disappears. So I was getting a lot more requests in my inbox, in groups. People were tagging me. So I created classes where I could go. We can be on a live session. We can talk back and forth. It wasn't just me reading your texts, like the post, or having to wait for me to say something and then give you time to type it out. Verbalizing it was just better. So I ended up doing classes via different streaming services like AnyMeeting, Skype, like you can use Google Meet, Zoom, to teach people how to utilize this software and to show them techniques beyond what they knew, what they saw on YouTube. So here we are, many, many years later. We actually now have an academy. Right now, it's more an online academy. We are working and putting in the infrastructure to have an actual physical school where people can come and learn this, because not every school is like Barbara Goldman and they have a graphic designing program or to even teach shirts. We did screen printed shirts and we had the big old conveyor dryer, but we didn't have, I don't remember having a heat press in that class. And a lot of high schools, middle schools, they don't have it. And I have a middle schooler who in elementary school, MJ was working the heat press. Like he loved doing that. Zani Mani likes Zani Mani likes to weed. MJ likes to weed vinyl and stuff like that. And this is something that can be introduced to kids. That was actually one of the things that I was going to do before the pandemic, was teach this to children, teach it to teens and stuff like that, because college isn't for everyone. I went to the military. It wasn't for everyone. So I just wanted to teach this in a way where it's easy to digest and easy to understand. So now we have a 30-day training that breaks it down. I used to do this and try and pack it all in because a lot of you crafters wanted it. Like, it's like you guys want to learn all of it now. It's like, and I foolishly thought that I could teach it to you in one session, tried to give you what you wanted, or you want to watch a couple videos and know everything, when I'm like, it took me years to learn this stuff. I know that you guys want to have businesses, you want to make money, but you can start small and then you can build, because that's what I did. I've been building on my skills and knowledge since I was in the 11th grade, since I was 16, 17 years old, because I never remember like when I went into it. I'm now 42. So it's been years and years and years and years. I'm not saying it's going to take you years to learn it all, but it's always going to be a learning process and it just can't be rushed. So I used to teach it in like 4 or 5 hours in one day, but we have this amazing program now. It's Learn Select Studio in 30 days. And in that, it is breaking down every tool and function. Before you can design, you have to know the tools that are in this software, know what their general uses are. And when you can use them in their most basic manner, then you'll be able to take that knowledge and apply it to something more complex. That's the premise of how I teach. Is I teach it to you and break it down to its like math. I'm in heaven now. If you haven't seen my post, I'm in heaven now because my kid is in Algebra 1 in the 7th grade, which is the 9th grade class. So I thought he was going to get it next year, but he got it this year. So I'm in heaven. So like when I'm teaching him to break it down, or helping him in reinforcing what he's learning in school, should I say, as far as taking something down to like the breaking it down to the lowest like fraction, or and things like that. So I'm loving this right now. So I like to teach it from the basics, really like I teach the why, not just the how. Like that's what I'm known for. I teach you the why, not just the how. Why do we do this? Why for subtract does it have to be like in the front, but crop, it doesn't matter if it's in the front or the back, you're going to get the same results. So that's what our 30-day training does. I take all of the essential tools and I break them down and what their basic functions are. It becomes your ultimate reference guide. Is it for designing and it goes through like teach you all these different designs? Not necessarily, because in the last week or so, we go through designings and you see how to put everything together, like all these tools that you've learned. But at its core, it's to introduce you to these tools, where they're located at. So even when you're watching not just my YouTube videos, if you are watching someone else's YouTube, how many of you guys have watched a YouTube video and they may not be really going, they're not talking fast. I can talk fast. So it's not that they're going through it fast. They're going through the natural, like how they would, because they know it. Okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to click here, I'm going to click there. That's a tutorial. It's just showing. But now someone like me that teaches, it's knowing that you kind of have to do it, pause, so that the person who's learning it, their brain and their brain can now catch up to what their eyes just saw and what their ears just heard. So it takes a special type of person to kind of like teach. And a tutorial, okay, it's going to be, all right, we're going to click here, we're going to click here, and look, you're going to have to learn to pause and do this. But in classes, it's set up to where I show it to you. You can see it in real time. And then we're going to go through and learn it. And it's like, click. Okay, did you do that part? All right, everyone did it? Okay, click, so that you understand the flow of it. So if you watch someone's video and they're not teaching and they're doing a tutorial, they're just doing a demo, you will understand a little bit better if you know where the tools are, because they're just going to say, okay, I'm going to group. This is one of the things that I teach in the 30-day training. There's redundancies. So when someone says, okay, you're going to group it, you're going to find some creators on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or whatever, where they're going to go to the top, like go to the options at the top, click on that, go to the, what is it? You're going to go to object, and then you're going to go group. You have some people like myself, I prefer keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to go and go Control G or Command G on a Mac. You also have some people who will go over to the modified panel, and there's a group over there, or you're going to right click and group. There's also an icon at the top for group. So there's so many different places based off of if you are a visual person, if you want to read the words, so if you can identify an icon, if you kind of want to keep everything in one place, so you're going to right click and then go to the group. But if someone just says group, and they do it in a way that you're not familiar with, and you're trying to follow them exactly, it gets confusing. You feel like you're left behind. Then you're trying to rewind the video to get back to that point, to pause it, to figure out how you do group. So then it's like kind of choppy. But if you learn it and you go through this, where I'm showing you all the different ways, most people will show you group and just show you one way, how they are used to doing it. My training shows you all the possible ways for group, for subtract, for compound pass, sending something to the front, bring something to the front, sending it to the back. There are a lot of redundancies in it. How to duplicate, how to copy and paste. There's keyboard shortcuts for it, or you can do the two-step process. It's so much. And if you want to just learn designing from free content, if you don't take something like the 30-day training, those tutorials are always going to seem foreign to you. You're going to constantly be leaving comments on there. They took the time to create a little pause moment, little vent moment. It amazes me that people will get on a video and someone took the time to at least try and explain it to help someone. And people get on this video and they complain. Obviously, you don't know what you're doing because you're over here. And you're going to go and tell me I should do this, that, and the third. Oh, get to the point, or this is too many steps. You went too fast. Did I go too fast, or you just don't understand and you don't want to take the time to watch, pause, or even take notes? It drives me crazy, not just on my content, when I'm watching somebody else's and I see these comments and I'm like, but obviously you can't do it. They took the time. They didn't have to put this content out there to help anybody. So whether you just say thank you, like, or just leave, don't like it, don't give it a dislike. Just, okay, it didn't work for you, move on. Unless you're going to maybe provide some type of constructive feedback, but just to go and just criticize someone on, I'm just like, the hell. But hey, it's engagement. So as someone who is a creator on YouTube, I just thank people for the engagement, because yeah, it helps my channel out. But the 30 days, like I said, the 30-day training just breaks it all down. So someone wants to know, after the 30-day training, what's next, right? I'm always going to recommend, before anything, that you take that 30-day training. Take that 30-day training. Take that 30-day training, because it literally breaks it all down. Okay? Whether you have the free version or if you have the upgrade version. The other thing that I do is I teach it from both, because if you watch someone's video and they have designer edition or they have business edition and they're doing things that's not available in your version, you're gonna be like, what? Because like shadow, it's a button to do shadows really easy in designer or business. But just because you have the standard edition doesn't mean that you can't put a shadow. It's just going to take more steps. I show you all of the steps no matter which version you have. Okay. So what do we do after the 30 days? That's what we're going to talk about now. I do see some questions here, so I'm going to address those. I love that part of teaching. I need the why. It helps me understand better that you are in the right place. I grew up in Hillcrest. That's my dream, to be a graphic designer. I have no idea who that person is and what they were talking about. They lucky I didn't see it, because they would have shown up, got blocked. Okay, let's see over here. Hello again. Yes, I have to slow the video so I can see where the mouse goes. I have business and haven't gotten through the first 10% of it. Thank you. You are very welcome. Okay, now, someone over here said, that's what I want to do. Oh, wait, come on, guys. We can't get likes over here. We can't double tap the screen because it's probably affecting me on the FYP. So if I can get you guys to double tap the screen, that would be greatly appreciated. And also just simply leave a comment. Like if we can leave a comment here, look, make it silly for y'all. Okay, leave a comment. That will definitely help out the broadcast, and double tap the screen. Okay, someone said they wanted to be a graphic designer. There are different, like, what a graphic designer is to one person might be different for somebody else. Some people do just text, and they have a knack for choosing the right fonts, a knack for arranging it, knowing what to like increase in size, decrease in size, where to justify it at, if you're mixing script and like bold or block type fonts, so serif and sans serif fonts, if you're mixing those, if you are intertwining things, but like you don't do anything, like not even a star, a circle, anything like that, you're just doing text-based designs. There is a market for those who are great with typography. There's a market for that. You don't have to worry about backgrounds or anything. Then you can start to add icons, because maybe you want to change out the middle of letters. Oh, I didn't do that. I just changed the O to a drip. I think I did this one. Yeah, so this one, like this O has the drip in the middle, right? So maybe you want to learn to design like that. So then you have to know things like, cropping it out or making it a compound path or subtracting. If you are someone that wants to create your own what's called vector, like it's all paths. It is like the owl that I created. This is something that can never be vector. This is a picture. This is a bitmap image, or some people say raster. This is like a PNG, a JPEG. This can never be an SVG. This can't be vector, okay? Because it's a picture. It's made up of pixels. Now you can vectorize it by tracing it and making solid shapes that you're going to fill with color. You can create different shadows with the different shapes and put them in, put where the shadows and the highlights are, make those shapes, fill them with lighter colors or take down the opacity. But this could never be vectorized. This, however, can, because it is all solid shapes that are just filled with colors. There's a lot of detail in it, but this is vector. This is something where you can do it with just shapes, but you got to be, you're not going to just be able to take a shape and just kind of go and move it. You're going to still have to know how to use welding or how to use subtract, how to adjust your edit points to create peaks and things like that. So that's one, that's another way of like designing. Some people want to design where they will take pre-made images, and like this flag was a pre-made, picture. Her picture was from photographs, and then combine it with text. And this is a form of graphic design. This is a form of designing. Some people want to be able to do this. Some people want to be able to draw out and take their drawings and digitize them so that they become a digital artist. Graphic designing is not limited to just what you can do on the computer. Where is that Tumblr? These are forms of designing. Very different in the approach to this, but these are forms of designing. My mouse pad. Ooh. Forms of designing, right? For something like this, it seems very simple, but someone who had knowledge of a design software where they could measure this and know how to even change the size of something or to type it out in the correct size to fit in this space, to fit a happy face or a date right here. That does take some designing, and it takes that person to have knowledge of some sort of designing software. Even if they did it in Word, you still have to know how to type it out, how to size it so that it will fit on this item. Okay. It's all different layers, different ways of designing. And I've taught so many different things. Like I said, my background is in event planning. Like that's what I got into all of this for, like with the machines and stuff. So I have classes that go over like your chip bags, water bottle labels, understanding how to make those templates, how to measure them. Originally, I was one where I measured everything. I hand cut everything. So I can, I took that and then incorporated it into now digitizing it where you don't have to, you can use like digital rulers and things like that to space stuff. You have space horizontally, space vertically. It's going to do it for you automatically. You don't have to worry about going and counting or figuring out where the numbers are. You don't have to do all that because the system will do it for you with the click of a button. So how you design for a chip bag is going to be different than how you design for a cake topper or a cupcake topper. Some things are the same, but it's not, right? If you wanted to create a cut file, that's going to be different than how you're going to maybe design for sublimation or DTF. So each class focuses on something, focus on a different subject. So you have to decide what it is that you want to learn. Even if you want to do baby shower stuff, It doesn't mean that you can't learn from the memorial one, because designing is designing. It's almost like just taking those concepts and applying them to whatever theme that you're working on. So there's a lot of people who take it just to constantly see how my brain works and how I approach designing. But they're made for those who are like focusing. I want to figure out my area of special, like my area of expertise, my specialty. I want to be a specialist in creating beautiful memorial designs, some that have pictures and some that don't. And then even within the memorial there's so many different ways to do memorials. But if that's what you wanted, you may take like a general designing one, but then you're going to take the memorial one. But if your memorials, you needed to cut vinyl for it, the vector one may be beneficial to you. Hold on one second. Oh, you're inside. I thought you were outside. Can you get me a cup of ice water? I had one. I have no idea where it went. My mouth just got dry. Oh, Jesus. But like my memorial one, that one wasn't necessarily to teach a program. It was to teach a style of designing. A lot of people liked my approach. So they wanted to see how I came up with these different concepts. How do I arrange them to look this way? So you still have to know the tools, and that's going back to 30 days, spending some time to learn those tools. Don't just buy it and just sit there and make all these excuses. Well, I don't have time. I mean, I have headaches, and there's been times where I have headaches and I still come on here and teach because that's my job. Like that's what I still have to create. Like I push through it. Try not to do it so much to where you're really, really compromising your health. But sometimes we make excuses. But if something else happened, like even if we had a headache, oh, we're going to go out and we're going to do this thing. But when it comes to the thing that we say that we want to learn these skills to be able to monetize it or to make a business. We find reasons to not do it. Okay. Oh, well, I'm tired today, so I don't want to. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow may not come. Put it in this big old cup. Thank you. You washed it with the thing on it, with the paper still on it. But she did wash it, even though it's on here. It's nice and wet. She did wash it. She just left the paper on it. That's actually for a demonstration because I got that from Five and Below. That compared to the bigger ones. I mean, the other ones. Okay. My mom went and got my water. She went and got it for me. What was I saying? Hold on one second. Okay, sorry about that. That was a call on the business line. Someone who wants to come and purchase chips for the 7820, the 812 cartridges. Well, it's 812 chips, should I say. What was I saying? Uh, Shoot. But yeah, it just depends on like how you want to design. So 30 days is where you start, and then a lot of the other classes are specific to design. The ones that teach you the software for us, it's going to be Essentials to Silhouette Studio, Learn Silhouette Studio in 30 days, as well as Essentials to Photoshop. And in that, there's so much to Photoshop. Like for me, what Photoshop is for me is not what it is for a lot of crafters or creators like within this space for shirts and stuff, because I originally got it like to actually Photoshop things and not necessarily create full on designs, but I've used it for that. So my essentials to Photoshop doesn't go over everything like Silhouette Studio. Silhouette Studio is a little less complex, so I can go over the majority of the tools in that one. But for Photoshop, it is not as many tools to go over, but the tasks are more complex and you can do a little bit more. So learning like blend modes, learning about adjusting your colors and text to path and smart objects, smart colors, things like that. And within that, so that was only 8 sessions because we really focused on the tools that were needed for what you guys want to do, like especially as beginners. Don't overwhelm yourself with the entire software. You just want to focus on those things. So then once you do that, like once you kind of get an understanding of that, then it's like, okay, well, let's put this together into like different designs. So we have some people, I'm pretty sure the person that asked, she has a lot of my classes, some that are retired. So if we just kind of go off of what's on the site right now, the crash course gives you a little bit of everything, right? If you really focus and pay attention, once you do those tasks, you'll start to see, like when you see designs in other groups and you see different things, oh, okay, this looks similar to what was taught here. Let me take these words, take these images and see if I can do it. We had someone do that in the group today. And so she asked the question, well, hey, professor, can you do a video on this? She's like, I tried it and not sure if and I was like, okay, well, let me see. She actually did it. And so someone else was like, hey, can you share? She's like, well, I'm still learning. And I was like, even with your still learning, you can still show someone, because I think sometimes me doing stuff, because I've been doing it since I was 16, 17 years old, it's different seeing me do it and feeling like, oh my God, I'll never get there, compared to somebody who is starting within a year, 2 years, even if they've been doing it for 5 years, they're still fairly new to it. And they're showing that, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. So I was like, no, go ahead, do it. And it was amazing. Some of you guys are afraid to like show what you do. I was so super proud because she wasn't worried about saying anything. She said absolutely not one word. She just put her phone up in front of her computer and she actually did a tutorial on how to do what she asked about. So I was like, what you needed me for? What you wanted me to do a whole video for? And you out here killing it and you're actually doing it. So hold on. So from Warp and learning about Warp tool, like I break it down, what all it does, she looked at that and knew, okay, it was kind of warped. And she was able to select that tool. She knew to line it up to the grids and pull it in at the same distance so she can have that look. And it was amazing, right? I never taught that because she was asking for a video to teach it. But because of the teachings that she has taken and that she has taken notes on and she's paid attention to, she was able to recreate that design. That's, you know, at the end of the day, that's the goal. So in the crash course, it goes over a lot of different things. So even though I might show a flyer where it was like football and it was Paw Patrol, if you're trying to create a flyer for your business, if you want to dabble in creating a flyer for someone else, you can take that and don't worry about an order. If you're excited about learning to make a flyer, pick some, make your own flyer. If McDonald's is your favorite place to eat, make one for that. If you like to go to a certain restaurant, go to their website, go to their Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Well, not TikTok, but like their Instagram, their Facebook. Take some pictures. Maybe make a menu for like, or something about around your favorite dish. Stop thinking that you have to have an order in order to actually practice designing. That's when when you're having order, I would hope that you know how to do it, because you took someone's money saying that I am the professional. A business means that I am a professional in this, and I am worthy of your hard-earned money, right? I'm able to do this for you. But if we're going and we're taking people's money and we don't even know how to do these things, that's not a good thing, right? So when we are not doing orders, that's when we should be practicing. That's when we should be refining our skills. So that way, when an order comes, we don't feel like, oh my God, I didn't charge enough for this because this took me 2 hours to do. Well, you didn't know it was going to take you 2 hours to do, so you underpriced it because you've never actually done it. You've never done it before. You just assumed that it was going to be easy because you've made this other design or you've made this other thing before. No. You have to practice. You have to practice. So the crash course goes over like looking at, I teach you how to look at something and then recreate it, but you have to know where the tools and things are. We go over text designs, how to pair fonts, how to size them, how to give them different looks. We go over, what else did we go over in that one? Oh my gosh, split designs, and those tools that you use for the split designs comes in handy in so many different ways. So you get used to using your modify tools, your subtract, your crop, making boxes to split things. Let's see, what else did we do in that one? I don't know. It's a lot in that one. Then we have like the vector one. Oh, actually, I'll go back. There is someone, and she always says, I think one of the greatest classes that she feels like I've ever done was my original text effects. If you have access to that one, I mean, it's the next best thing to the 30-day training. It's not available anymore. But the new text effects does kind of go over certain things, but I realized I had to kind of simplify it a little bit because that was a lot in that first text effects. But it's so many things there because you see, oh my God, it's so many techniques in the text effects. So I would say 30-day training in text effects. If you had enough money to just get those two right now, you calculate what that is, and you really want to work on your skills. Calculate what that is while it's on sale. Buy one, get one 50% off, and try to get that funds, whether you borrow it from someone or someone, they loan it to you or they give it to you. That would be the two that I say, like text effects and the 30-day training. Actually, is text effects still up there? Because that's probably 2 years old. Ooh, hold on. Before I say that, let me make sure text effects is even still available right now on the site. Let's go text. Yes, it is. Okay, the 3-day challenge for text effects, it's there. So you can do the text effects one, do that one, and the 30-day training. They're actually right back to each other on my list. So you're going to do those. That's a great place to start. After that, I would say the either crash course, but crash course goes right into like designing, and you're thrown to the wolves. Foundations of designing breaks down concepts. So it's not a lot of like actual designing, but it breaks down concepts. So if you are someone that thrives on concepts and you really want to know the why, the why behind things, Foundations of Designing takes you through that. But if you just want to kind of get a little bit, a sprinkle here and there of a bunch of different design techniques, the crash course is best for that. Okay. I have Affinity. Do you work with that? No, I do not. I have Affinity. I know Photoshop, I know Illustrator, and I think because of that, and even with Corel Draw, Affinity is okay, but the interface of Affinity drives me absolutely crazy. Like it's just not, it's just a no for me. So I don't teach it. There are others that teach Affinity, and they're just going to teach you the tools. For me, even though I'm not teaching from Affinity, there are things that are fundamental to like design, how you have to set something up, how you have to arrange it. Someone just asked a question and like of how to do something. And I know it's probably frustrating to her that I'm asking so many questions, but it's for a reason, because you have to understand how you're going to use it and how it's going to turn out. So if she's trying to trace something that's turning it into a vector, it's not going to have this same like soft brush feel that the original had, because you're turning it into solid shapes instead of pixels. So it's with my classes, even though I don't teach from Affinity, if you wanted to understand design concepts, my crash course in designing, you'll just have to apply the teachings to that software, or foundations of designing, you would have to just apply that to your software. I have Photoshop, but it's always so complicated, so I get frustrated trying to learn it. So, okay, next question, right? Are you comfortable with Affinity? Because if you're using Affinity Designer, it's different from than Photoshop. Affinity Designer is more a vector-based program, so it's like Illustrator. If you're not using Affinity Photo, then okay, so somewhat. Are you using Affinity Photo or Affinity Designer? So, okay, you have all of the affinities, and you design in each one of them? Or do you have one where you want to do something for a shirt or tumbler, you're clicking on one? You use Designer. So design, if you're using Designer and you're comfortable with using that, then you will be able to use Illustrator. If you wanted to learn Photoshop, right, you have to go to Affinity Photo. Is there a reason why you gravitate to Designer versus Photo? Because it doesn't, I'm going to just say, because I don't have time to wait for it. It doesn't matter if it's Affinity Photo or Affinity, if it's Photoshop or Affinity Photo, they have a lot of the same tools and functions. How you blend something off is going to be the same. They have layers, they have vector masks. The terminology is basically the same. So it's not easier to learn it over here. You just have to learn how to use the tools. Okay, that's what you started with, no set preference. So in that, you really can't compare the two, because what you're doing in Designer is not what you're going to do in Photoshop. If Designer works for you, then there is no need for Photoshop. People have this idea that Photoshop is like the holy grail, and it is if I learn Photoshop, I have arrived, I'm a great designer. No, it's understanding concepts no matter which software you use. And you can learn Photoshop if you take it one piece at a time. That's how I teach. If you're going into it where you want to learn for any software, if you're going into it, so it's like, I want to know how to use all this in one day, a month. If someone goes and they're saying, okay, we're going to spend a week on this one tool, and you feel like, oh my God, this is a waste of my time, then you really don't want to learn, because it may take you to spend, like, ideally, that's what I really want to do. Like, if I could go and spend a week on all the different things that you can do with subtract. Like, we're literally using subtract, modify, subtract, and a bunch of different things for one solid week. Hell, I probably wouldn't push it to 2 weeks. If you're looking at all the different ways that you can use crop over the course of a week, you may not have this finished product, but designs are a compilation of smaller things. So if you take, if you had to go and learn how to create a font that was, okay, let's say with the Thundercats, right? Where you learn how to apply that gradient, it might be you want to learn how to create the gradient yourself, because you can go and buy one, but someone created that. So when you're moving your sliders, knowing how much of the color, then you put some white, then you put a slightly different color, you might put some more white. Like, that's how you create all of that shading. It's different variations of that color, and then you're going to move your stop point to, like, to certain distances. And it's like, if the two stop points are tighter, that's going to be a more saturated area of color. And then if you pull it out, it's going to spread it out more. These are concepts and understanding how the stop works. So you're going to have some people that's just going to say, oh, to create a gradient, okay, we're going to use these three colors. Okay, you're going to click on here, you're going to put this color in, then you're going to put this color in, you're going to put that one in. Okay, you're going to move your stopper to this point, then you're going to move this stop point. Okay, add another stop point and do this. So all they're doing is showing you the how. But they're showing you the how. They're not telling you why you're doing that. That if you bring in these two, you're going to have more saturation of color. If you spread it out, the color is going to spread out. And it's even from, like, if you're using just two colors, it's going to create its own natural gradient to go from one, like to go from this color, and then the strength of that color kind of goes down and it mixes in and it's changing the colors. That way, when you go to create your own gradient, if you know that you want it where there is white here, because you want this chrome look, and you're now doing it with green, you're going to know why or how to actually set that gradient up. So it might be a day where, okay, we're just going to work on the gradient part of this, right? Then once we work on the gradient part on it, it might be, okay, well, how do we build the texture with the brush stroke? You're going to go and build the texture for it. Then the next one may be how to apply the embossing and shadows, it's like different things like that. So just to create the Thundercats part, it's a lot of different trainings, and we haven't even added the imagery behind it. You're just learning everything that it takes to do just the words. Some people teach you where they're going to just tell you, go get this PNG of Thundercats and we're just going to arrange it. And then you have those that say, okay, well, I'll teach you how to make the Thundercats, but it's like, okay, we're just going to click, we're going to type it out, you're going to use this particular font, and we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Then you're going to have someone that's going to say, okay, we're going to break this down, and it's going to take us several sessions, whether it's set like sessions technically all in one, or it's like broken up to where we're going to do this. And at the end of a class, all you may have is the Thundercats. And then you're going to need to practice that. They may instruct you to practice that 3 or 4 times. And then we're going to come back in and do all this. If you're wanting to do the character, well, if you're not someone that can draw, if you don't have pretty much, you can somewhat do it with the mouse, but a drawing tablet is better to go in and fill those in. You have to know about your Gaussian blur or your radial blur or your lens blur. Photoshop has at least 7 different blurs that do different things. So if someone just says use blur, okay, you're going to go in there and like, okay, am I using Gaussian blur, radial blur, linear blur? It's just a lot of them, right? But hey, that's that. I don't want to go too far into that. You would love to learn Photoshop. Start with my essentials. But my question to you is, why would you love to learn Photoshop? What do you feel Photoshop will give you that Affinity does not? If you already have Affinity Photo, I just happened to learn Photoshop first. Maybe if I learned Affinity first, I would be like, okay, well, I don't really like Adobe Photoshop. But what is it that you feel like Photoshop will give you that that program is not? If you cannot identify that, then you don't know why you're wanting to learn it, and it's going to always just seem hard because you're not going to have, you're not going to be focused on what you want to learn. You're going to get frustrated a lot. Let's see. Which app were you just speaking about with the double tap? TikTok. Do you have a class that teaches taking something hand-drawn and digitizing it to be sublimated? So you don't really digitize it to be sublimated. So if it's if that's a matter of like tracing it, or you can either trace it to where you're going to turn it into a vector, or you can use programs like Procreate, like on a drawing tablet, because you're going to take that drawing and then put it on there, and you can like basically trace it out, and then you can fill in the sections. And then you're going to have to, like, if you don't want it to be flat, you're going to have to know how to add shading, know where to add shading at. I learned about shading not for shirts or anything like that. I learned about that in an art class. So I combined all of the knowledge that I've gotten. I'm very grateful and thankful for the schools I went to. My art teacher at Miami Springs, love him, how he taught us about shading, and then taking that into the digital space. It was a lot easier because I didn't have to learn about shading. I just had to learn how to do it in the digital space. But I understood if your light source is here, where your shadows and where your highlights are going to be at. And we learned that through drawing and making things darker, lighter. And then I just had to apply that when I went digital. But I have shown a couple times. This right here, I think I showed my students that. It's not hand drawn, but this right here wasn't a really quality image. And someone posted it. I blew it up and printed it out. I traced it with a, what's that thing called? I traced it with a Sharpie. Then I took that, rescanned it back, scanned it again, put it back into Silhouette, and then did a trace on it. And some of it I was able to just kind of like do the trace and do release compound path and fill it in. And then others I had to do like certain things like to it. So this is kind of a representation of your question. And that's how you can start, is take something that's already done. I printed it out on grayscale, really, really light, go over it with the Sharpie, retrace, scan it, bring it into Silhouette Studio and trace it, and then you fill it in with the colors. Yes, my love? Do you know Grandma's house is? Do I know where Grandma's house is? I think she went outside. Oh, what? I don't know for what. Go outside and see. Okay, understand. Just wanted to have that under my belt as well. Okay. Well, Essentials to Photoshop is on the site. And actually, I meant to drop that one. Hold on. Let me go to... Okay, so I adjusted those. Let's see. I have a hand-drawn logo and want to mass produce it. I have Photoshop. Well, with that one, you're still going to have to basically manually trace it. So depending on how it is you're going to scan it, and then you can open up that scan into Photoshop. And depending on like how it's set up, you may be able to use your quick selection or magic trace and things like that to select those to create the marching ants and create that that selection, and then fill that selection in with color. So you may be able to do it that way. I won't know until I actually see the logo to see if you even need to do that. So is it that the logo is of low quality? Because if you want to mass produce it for a sublimation, all you have to do is just have the JPEG or the PNG and just print it out. So is it that it is a low quality image that needs to be recreated? I love essentials, even though I am 10% in. I need you to get past 10%. I've learned Photoshop long ago. But when I learned Design Studio, it was a no-brainer. Design Studio as in Cricut Design Space or Silhouette Studio? The 30-day reinforced that a lot. Let's see. Okay. All right, I'm going to go over to, I meant to pull this up over here, to the classes just to kind of go through what is available. If you guys have any questions, like some people are asking about specific techniques in their class for that, you can continue to ask those questions. The Flintstone one, I want to say I did show it in my group. Whenever you sign up for my class, you get access to my student union group. And a lot of times I will do like bonus, like if I'm just kind of designing or setting something up, I'm going to go live in the group. It's not necessarily a class or a teaching, but it just allows you to see my workflow and how to accomplish certain things. I'm going to go over here and let's look for Fred. Present, screen share. And okay, I'm about to go too. It's been an hour. I did not plan to be on here that long. Definitely did not plan to be on here this long. Okay, so it's drawn on line paper, blue ink with shading. So you're going to have to take that and I'm not sure how detailed the lines are. You may want to this is why I keep a lot of art supplies in my arsenal. So I have fine tip Sharpies. I have wide, like, the wider ones. I have the ones that's like a really, really like the chisel ones, the fine tip. I have wide ones to make it easier when I'm going over things. So you may want to use kind of like your regular fine tip Sharpie if it's not like something that's super detailed, or you want to get like the one that's like a pen, and you're going to, if it's the original, just do a photocopy of it. I would say take your density down some so that it's kind of light, so that when you bring it back in, it doesn't pick up on all of those colors. So you're going to print that out. You're going to go over it with a black Sharpie, because in any software, black is going to be easier to pick up. And then once you have that, you're going to either trace it or in Silhouette Studio or Illustrator or Affinity or CorelDRAW, or you can use the quick selection of that color, or you can use select by color. So if you made it all black and nothing else on there is black, if you go select by color and you sample that one, it'll pick up everything around that. It's going to give you a selection box, and then you can fill that in with color and then clean it up some. So I'm going to flip this around for you guys to see this. I don't have the original one anymore, but this is basically just the JPEG. Well, this is the trace that I did, and I brought this into Silhouette Studio. So I took, and you can see, I just printed it out. I'm sure you can see the lines. I printed out on grayscale and draft mode. So I didn't, spend a lot of time. You didn't need it to print out like the best possible way. So I took this image here. That's why I just changed the size. They were pretty much the same. I took this, I printed out grayscale draft. Once that printed out, hi, Mom, I went over it with a Sharpie. Once I went over it with a Sharpie, I traced it. Some of the areas I had to manually recreate, like the buttons here, not the buttons, but like the holes where his pants are. I had to do those. Oh my God, I don't know anything. Okay, here you go. Here you go. Huh? Okay, there you go. So I had a couple of areas I had to apply my silhouette skills and vector creating skills to create like the holes here, because it wasn't enough definition. Like once it was scanned and once you trace it, it closed it in. I had to do things like, I think if I look at, I end up just covering that part up. I couldn't stand the way his foot was here, so I kind of made that part straight. I didn't do it on that one, but I think on the other one, I ended up making it straight. As you can see here, I didn't do the 75 because I wanted my own thing. Hello, we do 30 and my birthday is 30. We sublimate at 30 seconds. So I put the 30 there. I had to recreate the, what's these things, right? Like the stripes. So if you see that one compared to this, it's kind of rounded, but I was able to make this where it's nice, sharp lines. So this is what you would end up doing. So it's a lot of steps. It's not kind of a, I just want to click a button and it just kind of happens. It's a lot of steps. All right. So we have, let's go over here to the classes and playbacks. So like I said, Essentials to Silhouette Studio, right, is going to be first place you go. If you are someone, there are some changes to Cricut Design Space now. This does not teach you Silhouette Studio as a whole. It is great for those who are used to Cricut terminology to now learn Silhouette Studio. So I do it apples for apples, oranges to oranges. The things that you can do, like when you first open up something and you are using like the little wand and stuff, that's equivalent to tracing. So that once you go and you tell it's a cut file, then later, Papa, then you go to like your contour and stuff like that. Your contour is the equivalent of releasing compound path because you can remove like certain parts. So I compare apples to apples, oranges and oranges, for you to understand what you know already know, like like the back of your hand in Cricut Design Space, how to make Silhouette Studio make sense. And we kind of go back and forth between the two. This is also a great one. If you really want to learn about like tracing, recreating areas, like utilizing your modify tool, this is a great one for that. So there are specific tools that are really, really used in this because you have to do multiple traces, because you have to do certain modifies to like recreate certain areas. That's what this is good for. The memorial one, if you just want, this is a class if you do memorial designs and you want to kind of, you don't all the way love it and you want to know more about like how to add wings and have them look like the right angle, knowing which wings to use based off of like the image they submitted to you. If you don't want to use skies and wings and halos and birds and you want to do text designs, there's a really heavy text component within that memorial one. So that is about different ways to create memorial designs. If that is an area that you are focusing your learning on, then that would work for you. So that's what's like, there's no set order to do the classes in. After the 30 days, that's top. Like that's the one that everyone needs. After the 30 days, you have to then focus on what it is that you want to learn. If you have to do like, let's say some chip bags or something for a party, and the party is on Saturday and it's now Monday. It can or let's just say, no, the party's on Saturday and you decide to buy this class on a Thursday. If you've never used Silhouette Studio, it may not be a benefit to you. But if you watch like, okay, I know that's what I want to get into. I want to get into creating party favors and chip bags and Capri Suns and cake toppers. So let me watch that and do it over and over and over again. use that as a reference, and I'm going to put it like use different themes and stuff like that, because I break it down, like I said, concepts. Almost all the other classes are about design concepts. The vector challenge is if you are someone that wants to create vector. What I did with the Fred Flintstone, this is vector. Can you save them as a JPEG or a PNG? Yes. Can you sublimate him? Yes. But as a vector file, I can ungroup. And if I wanted this to be a different team, I'm able to easily change this. With a JPEG one, that's when you have to use, you kind of have to use Photoshop, or ones where you can color in pixels and select certain areas. If you have stopping points and you use your dropper or you use your paint bucket, you can kind of smart fill, things like that. But when it's a vector, all you have to do is click on it, and you can click on each section and make it a different color. So your edits are going to be easier when it's a vector. If this was in Photoshop, each part of this would be its own layer, and then you can simply do color overlays. But it would not be one flattened one. So it's not going to all be on one layer. As many colors as you see here, or as many sections in Photoshop, to make this easier, each one of those would be on its own separate layer, and you can't click on it and just simply change a color, because you have rasterized it. So you would have to either select it using your quick selection tool, or you would use color overlays to change the colors of the elements on that particular layer. You would use blend modes. So it's the same concept. It needs to be in layers. It's just that when you're looking at Silhouette Studio, this looks like it's all in one. Like I said, I have a class on that. When you take the training and I go over tracing, and I've done plenty of tracing, and I say you trace it and you release compound path and you fill with colors, guess what? That's the class for this. It doesn't have to be where you're going to take a image and draw it out with the Sharpie. No one's going to sit through that. Because once it's in here, whether it was this, or if it was, let me go to here. No, it would be in Academy. So it's where's my Academy folder? Oh, there it is. So whether it's this, or if it is, where is my tracing master sheet? Tracing. Oh gosh, where is my tracing master sheet? 7 day, 30-day crop, compound path, coloring book. We're going to go to this one. Did it open? Okay, there it is. Now it's opening. So the same thing that you would do here with this coloring page is the exact same concepts, because I made it basically a coloring page. It is an image that has dark, we have defined black lines. The inside is lighter. So when we go to trace it, it's going to pick up on the black areas, and you're going to trace that. You're going to release compound path, and you're going to go from there. So it's the same concept. So I've technically already done a class on this. But if I were to do it to where I now have to wait for you to go over it with a Sharpie on your original, who wants to sit through that? Like, some people will go faster with tracing their image with a Sharpie than others. And then some people don't have a large format scanner. Some people may not have a scanner. They're doing it from their phone. So to do a class just for that, it's, we have that already. It's the same concept. So that's where my design classes come in at, because I show you that things that you've done for something else, like it can apply, those same techniques apply to multiple things. Someone says, I remember that lesson. It was fun. Exactly. All right. So, so this one for vector, how are they used? What's the benefits of them? So like I said, being able to change the colors with a vector file. If I wanted to cut that and in different colors of vinyl, that's what that's beneficial for. So breakdown of layouts, choosing the right fonts. We went through text design. We went through manual tracing, right? So that's another thing that you can do. So if you're with what you're wanting to do, this may be the best class for you because it is a logo. So at the end of the day, it's going to be vectorized. So in this, I taught you how to manually trace. So you can go over certain, like even if you don't want to use a Sharpie, you want to just bring that in. Well, I show you how to use your draw polygon, your pen tool, your edit points, and how to manually trace something. So this may be the best one for you. Like I said, I've taught these things. It's just in general. And then you apply it to where you need it. So that's that one. You want to create your own vectors. I'll show you some of the stuff that we did from that one. Let me go over here. 7-day. That's events, SVG. We created a light bulb. Where's the one that is mine where I've already done all the stuff? We did the apple. Let's see. So in this particular class, we went from a regular apple. How do you make it into a vector? We took this cell phone and we traced it to make it vectorized. So that might be the class that you need to take while the classes are buy one, get one 50% off. So those are some of the things that we did in the vector class. The event decor one, that's when I talked about that one. Oh, I did do banners in this one. Someone asked me about banners. I didn't remember if I did banners in the event decor, and I did. So how to measure and create your own templates. People ask me all the time how to create templates. This is one, and how I create a template here would be how you create a template for something for sublimation. But it's a class that goes over the steps that you could take to create a template. Breakdown of essential supplies. We went through chip bag design layouts, 2D topper designs and cutting them, banner designs, designer bag, gift boxes and centerpieces, invitations, and like a whole stuff. So if your area of expertise, if your specialty is going to be event decor, you don't have to go to memorial. Let's go up here so that we can learn the party favors, and then you can go into other things. This is the one that I said it's great for everyone because it's teaching you custom text effects. Just because, like, once you go and you have pictures and stuff like that, if you want your text to pop, text effects teaches that to you. I'm gonna go to Jayla's. I don't know why. To me, that's like the most recent one I did. So it's like a name that I remember all the time when I did Jayla, or even the posters for Carol City Cheer. How you find the cost of the courses? You go to our website. They're listed there. Every single course, every single product that we sell, the price is right there on the website. Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong one. Let's see. Oh, I can show this one. So if we look at this and the text effects as far as making it 3D, having the outlines on it, the different shadows, putting the fade in there, the text effects on this one where we have the highlights. So we teach all of that. So you would have to know how to do that. and then you combine it with all of these other things. That's not the one I wanted though. Well, that's the one that, oh, that's important too, right? So this is the one because the mom wanted a black shirt. So I had to do that with an eco solvent print. But for the sublimation one, I was able to do a different type of background. I would never be able to do that one with eco solvent. I could possibly do it with DTF, but the areas are so small and you need to have it be at least 1 point size. If not, you're going to see a lot of like the white thing and stuff like that. So, oh wait, let me see. Shirt and tumbler. Let me open up that one. Or that might be the same thing. Okay, yeah. So once I did this one, so I end up adding a background to it, and I was able to put that, like sublimate that and have all of those like little pieces. So even with DTF, this is something right here that would not fare well with DTF. It would come out better with like DTG because it's going to print right on top, but DTF or even screen print, because those areas are so small and trying to pick up that color, it just may not work. You're not going to have that like faded off look. This is something that's better for digital or something like printed, like sublimation, or if it's just like on a card or something, you're just going to just print it out, or it's going to live digitally. So you have to understand the differences in how you create for different designs. So I'm going to just come down here. So you can see the different, like this has shadows, you have offsets, knowing how big of an offset, how to create 3D looks. That's what text effects teaches you. So if you want to learn how to do this for text, this is something where you do it by itself. When I first did this, I had it on a separate design page. I designed the JLA text and the Go text by itself, and then grouped it together and brought it in for everything else. I did not do them together. So 30 days, text effects, probably the first 2 to take. Then I would say the crash course. Now, if you are somebody that wants to learn, not everything is designing. So I have the one for sublimation, the 6 day. I break down everything within this. And no matter what design class you need, if you're doing sublimation, you're still going to need all of this information. So there's no particular order for this class. If you're not interested in doing oversized prints, not just all over shirts, but any oversized prints, then you wouldn't need this. But if this is something that you're trying to learn, then you would take the one for oversized prints. This one is a soft launch into Photoshop. We just focused on 2 of the main things that people need to know about. Image editing and adding certain effects. So your layer styles, learning about your blend modes, learning about embossing and shadows and glows. So that's where you can learn on this one, which I keep forgetting to change the price on this. So you better take advantage. Buy one, get one 50% off. And right now it's $23.65. I need to change it because that's not how much this class costs. And then this is the crash course, and it's 10 days of different things. So the different days are broken down: intro to designing, text only designs. We remade designs and templates. We did word art, word clouds, how to design it in Silhouette Studio so where it's the shape, and then take it to word cloud or word art so that your words fit inside of that. Dealing with the custom brush strokes, how to make them, how to color them, how to then use that to create distress edges on images is what we learned there. We went over posters, split designs, how to create photo collages. We went through some rhinestones and then rearranging templates. So there's a lot in this crash course, mainly from Silhouette Studio. If you're wanting to know, this is like specific. If you wanted that skill to take the head of someone, of a kid or adult or whatever, and put it onto a character, this is a very specific one. There is no order for this. You would just take this one. But now if you don't know, I mean, you'll still, of course, learn the tools, because I kind of take it slow and we do what I do, you do, we do. I do, we do, you do type of situation. So you'll still kind of pick up on it. But if you don't know where the things are, it will be like you'll have to pause a lot if you have to stop to figure out where I'm clicking at and follow the mouse. But this is a specific skill that you want to learn. There is no order for this. Whenever you're ready to learn these things is when you pop that, you go and click on that. I would say pop it in like it's a DVD. You go and click on it and you start to learn. Just have your notebook ready to take notes. Foundations of Designing is kind of like the crash course, but it's really focusing on design techniques and concepts and things of that nature. Understanding, why do you do this? Like, why did I have to edit it this way? Why did I have to move it this way? Why did I have to use this as a cover up? Because I couldn't, if we don't want this cut off area, these are things that you can do. If you're tracing around something, you would do this. I think we also referenced, like, during that time is when one of my grandmothers passed. I think we kind of went over like some obituary stuff. We taught someone like about creating brochures, creating your own templates. Like, we went through a lot in that one as well. Photoshop Essentials is the one where you go over all of the Photoshop stuff. The First Cuts is specifically for those who want to cut with their Cameo. If you're wanting to take the classes to learn to cut, this could even come before Essentials, because learning to cut and learning to design are two different things. So you can take this one to get familiar with your machine. How do you adjust the speed? How do you adjust your blade depth? How do you do printing cuts? What settings to use? When to cut edge versus do a regular cut? When to no cut? So this is about learning the machine. Pricing for Profit is just about pricing. If you're wanting to learn how to make some stalls and design within them, it's a lot of the same as far as, it's text. You bring in an image. You may trace something. So it's going to be skills that you have learned, but this was needed for those who they couldn't make the connection because of the size of it. Well, how do I arrange all this? Somebody wants 5 pictures. What do I do? This one doesn't teach pictures. This one was just simple, like for beginners, basic text ones and how to arrange that. So this is, again, another one of those specialty ones. There's no specific order for this. Pretty much the rest of these were specialty ones. There's no particular order. People took these when they needed them. All right. And then if you are someone that has access to the older classes, like when we did another design, like there's like banners in that one. We did text effects, we did banner, man. I'm trying to remember the older ones because some people have access to the classes that have been retired. A lot of these will be retired come the new year, and we will reteach them live again. Any questions for me? Because I'm well over my time and I need to go home because the other kid wasn't feeling too good when I left the house this morning. So got to go check on him. Any questions? Buy one, get one 50% off, guys. It ends in a few days. It was only for HS Ink month. HS Ink Day is on Monday. Take advantage of the discounts. There probably won't be any other discounts other than like Cyber Monday, Black Friday, somewhere in that time frame, which I never do mine on the traditional Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because y'all not checking for no classes and no paper. Y'all be looking for big ticket Christmas gift type items. But we do another sale closer to the end of the year for those things. But this will be the last time pretty much for this year, other than like one day for the fall selling season, that these will be on sale. Yeah, because in about a few days here, the new fall lineup will be up, and yeah, none of these discounts will apply because there's no way for me to separate it. And when it comes to the new classes, those are not discounted. No questions, but just saying thanks for all your teachings and keeping it real. Pep talks. Yes, you are very welcome. Um, smart, Chrissy. You got your pre-orders for the rolls, and by doing the pre-orders for the rolls, you were able to get access to some of your classes at 50% off. Smart girl. Do remember that the rolls will not ship for a couple of weeks, but hey, that was a smart move. You got the rolls on pre-order, which is on discount. That ends this week as well, and you got your class. So thank you for your order. Any questions? You are very welcome. So when am I going to see your shirt or your tumbler or your vinyl or whatever it is with your name on it? When can I expect to see that posted or sent to us? Like if you're on Facebook or if you have an Instagram or TikTok, send me the information. When can I expect to see that posted? I will be ready for the rolls when they come in. Thank you for your classes. You're very welcome. I need to know what to put on my calendar. I'm going to put it on my calendar right now, and I'm going to be looking for that shirt, that tumbler, that mug. Oh, I can't leave. I was going to do this shirt. I need to do this colored shirt. I got to print that out real quick. I'm going to put our logo on a bunch. Well, I'm going to actually just now, I'm just going to do the professor taught me on these shirts because I got to hurry and get home to my kid. One last question. What's your suggestion on business cards made with silhouette? If you are just starting out, you don't need a lot of them. You have the time. I mean, you can create them as far as designing it. Of course, you should not be using what's those things called? You should not be using the pens. What is it? The sketch pens. You shouldn't be using sketch markers. But if you want to design them and then print it, maybe use print and cut to like cut it out if you don't have a paper trimmer. If you use the print and cut, you're going to be limited on how many you can fit on a page. You're not going to have the same feel and same quality as a business card because that's a different type of paper. It's coated, it's cover stock, it's heavier. that type of paper won't fare well in like your typical like printers. And if you're using a Cameo machine, with the way that it cuts like that, it'll take several passes. So using a guillotine cutter or like a paper trimmer where you can kind of slice through it would be the better option, because when they're making the business cards, it's this big industrial cutter that just and cuts through it, so it just makes it faster. If you just want to, like, I have designed business cards in Select Studio, and then I have submitted them to the print companies. If you're going to do that, please make sure that you are using a color chart. This doesn't really give you all, I would say print it out from a regular printer, and kind of, it won't be it may not be exact on their side, but you can utilize this to create, like to choose your colors. Don't use the colors from Select Studio, or when you when you get your prints from your printer, they're going to look horrible. But business cards are not that expensive. You can get a lot of times for under $50. And if you know that you're going to be kind of shy with passing them out, you're not going to be aggressive with passing them out, you don't need to have a whole lot of them, then, do it with your design it and then just print it with your regular printer and just cut it out. But if you're trying to be aggressive with your and like really put yourself out there, don't do that yourself. Concern yourself with the design portion for the actual shirts, for the tumblers, for the chip bags, for the keychains, for the lanyards. That is the business that you're in. You're in business to make those items, not to do business cards. Outsource that to somebody where that's their business. That's what they do. You're working on it now. Okay, so that means that means today. I should see something today. Okay, yes. Now I need to ask, okay, so how long is it going to take us? So since I'm putting in my calendar today that you're going to have your name, you're going to try out a couple different fonts, how many hours am I giving you? So does that mean like I'm going to check on you again? It's 4:41 here right now. Maybe around like 8 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, we can have something finalized. Because all we had to do was just write our name and add text, change the font and add color. And then print it out or resize it and print out and put it on something. So maybe another 2 hours, 2 hours, 4 hours. You need till 6 my time? Or actually, no, it's almost 5. So do you need to 7 my time or 8 or 9? How much time we need? No more procrastinating. No procrastinating. No putting it off. I'm putting you under the gun. You got to get it done. Monday, you're working on it now. And all the assignment was to write out your name, and that was it, to create something with all the stuff that you purchased. And we got to go Monday. Wait, we'll need a shirt. We just needed to use the paper and the ink and all that stuff that we purchased. So you can make your name and you can print it out today. That way, once you get the shirt, then you can then press it. So I don't need to see the finished product today, but I would like to see the design and I would like to see it printed out on your printer, utilizing the one of them 4 packs of papers you purchased, print it out. We can get that done today, can't we? Can we get that done today? Let me see. You saying that there's no more sample packs of the regular one? Let me check. People have been buying a lot of the sample packs lately. No, that's not the only one that's available. Yeah. There, There is fast dry and there is tacky, both of it. Both sample packs are available. They're in different listings though. If you go to the top of the page where it says paper, it says fast dry sample packs and then tacky paper sample packs. So both sample packs are available. But your tacky paper is for textiles and fabrics. Some people like it. I mean, it can help prevent ghosting. I'm not big on like using the tacky paper. I like the fast dry, but a lot of people do like the tacky. I know I was just speaking to someone and they like the tacky when they're doing double-sided because it's going to press and it's going to stick to the shirt. So they don't have to worry about putting another butcher paper underneath, like to protect their heat press. It's going to just stick to the shirt so they can now flip it over and then they can press the backside of it and not have to worry about an additional butcher paper because it sticks to the fabric. I'm excited. When I get off, I'm doing my first class. Yay! What brand shirt do I have on? This one might be Port & Co. Yep. This one is Port & Co. Port & Company. But I pretty much use Sports Tech and Team 365. I didn't really like the way for me and what I like, I don't really care for the way this is cut. It's on the, just go, I'll just show you. You just go to the website and right here at the top, I'll show you guys as well on this side. Sublimation paper. I think we do a pretty good job of making sure everything is visible for you guys, having good menus and breaking it all up. So right here, you go under sublimation paper. You have the fast dry 100 sheet packs. You have the tacky 100 sheets. You have the rolls. Although if you go here for the rolls, it's going to show sold out. There is a separate listing for the pre-order for the rolls. This is where it'll be at, like once they're in. The pre-order one is on the main page. And then you have your sample packs and your sample packs. Or if you just type in search and put in sample, it will come up for you. Okay. Will do. I look forward to it. Okay. All right, let me get off of here. I'm about to print off I'm going to probably take my laptop home to make my shirt for our third Inkiversary. But I'm about to do a Professor Taught Me shirt just so that I haven't done a demo for the paper in a few days, like on this platform. TikTok has gotten a couple of them, but I haven't done one. And I promised that I was going to do colored shirts. So let me go and do that. And I shall talk to you guys later. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.